Good evening, friends. This is Naresh, your host from Autocars India, bringing you live action for Formula One round 14 of 2017 from Singapore Airlines Grand Prix at Singapore. This is the qualifying session, which is just going to start in some time. And before we start the Formula One Carnival in Asia once again, I'll give you a little brief what's happening in terms of standings for the drivers in World Championship. Lewis Hamilton is leading the championship finally, first time in 2017, and he's with 238 points, 3 points clear of Sebastian Vettel, who is sitting at second position. First time he lost the lead in 2017 in round 13, last time around in Italy. He's 3 points behind. Behind him, Valtteri Bottas, also challenging for top 3 positions and could be second position with 197 points, 41 points behind the leader Lewis Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo sits at 4th position, 144 points, 94 points behind the championship leader Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Raikkonen 5th, 138 points. Max Verstappen 68 points, 6th position. Sergio Perez from Force India. Both the Force India is in 7th and 8th position with Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Sergio Perez 58 points, Esteban Ocon 55 points. Final position, 10th position, Nico Hülkenberg from Renault with 34 points. Once again, welcoming you to Autocars India, your host Naresh, bringing you live action for qualifying session, which is just about to get start in 3 to 4 minutes time. In the meantime, when the session starts, give you a very hot news also that finally Honda and McLaren has parted ways. 2 days back, they have decided Honda will part ways with McLaren, and McLaren and Honda top executives, they have given a positive feedback on this. They said this time is not right for the partnership, and in interest of both the companies, they should part ways. But good news is Honda has tied up with Toro Rosso. That means Renault will leave Toro Rosso and they will join, gets the engine behind McLaren, and Toro Rosso gets Honda engines. And this will also be a game changer for Fernando Alonso to make his decision to stay in Formula One. Remember, the only constraint was the Honda engine, and once McLaren comes back to Renault engine, we do not know whether Fernando Alonso will stay, but he has no other seat available in any other team, as most of the positions have been closed. And also Carlos Sainz will be swapping the position in Renault on loan basis, so he'll be joining Renault. So one of the drivers, possibly Jolyon Palmer, will be leaving Formula One. We are just about to start this qualifying session of 2017 round number 14 of Singapore Grand Prix. As we have seen the records tumbling in last few races, with Lewis Hamilton first catching up with Ayrton Senna back in British Grand Prix with number of pole positions. Eventually next target was Michael Schumacher, where last time around he overtaken Michael Schumacher for most number of pole position. So we come to Singapore, one of the best races on the calendar. And also news, Singapore has been extended for another 5 years for Formula One circus to continue in Singapore. This is one of the best circuits where everybody itches to come over and have a go at Formula One. So very interesting things coming out in last few days in terms of engine changes, engine changes for McLaren and Toro Rosso swapping Hondas and Renault, and also this could put a future question mark for Red Bull, because Red Bull eventually they will be somewhere or the other down the line, they would like to use the same engine what has been put in their parent team. And also Renault contract with Red Bull gets over in 2018. So 2019 driver future also will have to be finalized for Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. However, coming back to the Singapore Grand Prix, live session for qualifying is just about to start. This is a round 14 of 2017 Formula One World Championship coming to Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. Track is a cliffhanger with start time at 2100 times local time. 5.065 kilometer long track. What else you'll require on this track? Total number of laps 61, 2-hour DRS zones available with lap record from Daniel Ricciardo 1 minute 47.18 seconds in 2017 last time around. Race distance 308 kilometers, and invariably the race does finish in 2 hours time and few of the laps are always left to go. So this is a real cliffhanger coming out, and I am bringing this live to you, this edition of Formula One 2017 Grand Prix. Friends, in the meantime session gets started, please do remember to like and subscribe my channel by hitting the subscribe button on bottom right corner of your screens. I'll be bringing you all action live as it unfolds at Marina Bay Circuit. Weather is good as always, 32-33 degrees track temperature, humidity is in 50 degrees, around 50% humidity, which is going to get up and up as the session goes on. So Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari will be and pitched to be a strong contender this time around, being Mercedes will not be favored much on this circuit, and it's a street circuit. The key will be to get the pole position, as 8 of the 10 races in last 10 years have been won from the pole, except one of the race which happened earlier, which Fernando Alonso won the race in Renault, and it was a part of the cheating as called by Formula One. So we look forward to a great qualifying session here. As the drivers get ready for the session to start, and we all too get ready to start for this session of Singapore Grand Prix this weekend, qualifying live. Just to give you a brief overview, The first race this season started in Australia, where Sebastian Vettel won the race for Ferrari after a long time. Lewis Hamilton won second race in China. Bahrain Grand Prix was won by Sebastian Vettel, and Valtteri Bottas took his first race win in Mercedes in Russia Grand Prix. Spanish Grand Prix won by Lewis Hamilton, followed by Sebastian Vettel in Monaco. Remarkable victory over there. Lewis Hamilton once again wins in Canada, and surprise in Azerbaijan as the Grand Prix was won by Daniel Ricciardo. Valtteri Bottas, once again he gets his second win of the season at Austrian Grand Prix, and the next one, British Grand Prix, was won by Lewis Hamilton. Sebastian Vettel wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, with Belgian Grand Prix going in the pocket of Lewis Hamilton, with back-to-back wins by Lewis Hamilton in Italian circuit. In terms of qualifying battles, Ricciardo is way back from Max Verstappen, 4:9. Ferrari, Vettel is ahead by 9:4 for Raikkonen. And qualifying session 1 has started, and we are on for first session of this qualifying. Sebastian Vettel is already on the track, and he is on the warm-up lap. 16 minutes to go in qualifying session 1. Sebastian Vettel on the track, behind him Williams also coming on the track, followed by Lance Stroll and Pascal Wehrlein also coming out in their out laps. As we all get just waiting for the time lap to start and the first one to go is Kimi Raikkonen on the time lap. Makes the curbs nicely. Just about to complete the sector 1. Average speed here on this track is about 180 km/h, and a circuit where overtaking is very difficult. So pole position, getting the pole position is the most important thing on this circuit. As Kimi Raikkonen tries with ultra soft tires, and this race is going to be 2-stop race. However, some drivers will try 1 stop. As Kimi Raikkonen comes around in sector 2, finishing sector 3, just about coming under the bay, and traverse the corners number 22 and 23, comes on start finish straight. Where does he go? He's the P1 for the time being, and we have a yellow flag in sector 2. We'll just see what is this yellow flag in sector 2 for. Seems to be for Lance Stroll. Did he touch the barrier? Oh, he had a near miss in sector 2, and he manages to escape. No damage done. No surprises for tire choices. Everybody will be on ultra soft. Roman Grosjean was the one who went out to escape route. Comes back on the track safely. Now Vettel, he is the second one who is going to finish. 1 minute 44.680. 0.6 seconds behind Kimi Räikkönen. Carlos Sainz is third with 1 minute 1 second difference between Vettel and Sainz. Kvyat fourth, Magnussen fifth, Lance Stroll sixth. And Fernando Alonso in McLaren starts his time lap. Roman Grosjean in last lap, he goes deep in turn 7 and takes to the runoff area, but quickly back on the track. But definitely he will not have any confidence with his tire by this way, as Fernando Alonso crosses the McLaren, who is on warm-up lap. Sector 1 looks good for Fernando Alonso, and this circuit we expect that Honda McLaren is going to be stronger, as it is not about sheer power. As Fernando Alonso comes out in sector 3, last few corners to negate. Let's see where does Fernando Alonso completes his lap, time lap, and he goes P10. Fernando Alonso. We are in 10 minutes to go for this qualifying session 1. Fernando Alonso also goes very close to the barriers. Roman Grosjean does the lockup last time around also. He goes in the escape route. We are in 9 minutes in qualifying session 1, and Daniel Ricciardo has topped the timesheets now. Lewis Hamilton, he goes P2. Remember, Mercedes is not going to be strong on this track due to the downforce what they carry with their cars. However, Ferraris and Red Bulls are tipped to be favorites to have And here Felipe Massa touched the barrier somewhere and he's damaged his right rear wheel coming back to the pits. In terms of speed trap, 307 km/h fastest speed clocked by Lance Stroll. As Felipe Massa comes back in the pits, mandatory inspection goes for his right rear tire, could be a suspension failure. And yes, it was a hard hit on the barriers. Oh yeah, so he has surely damaged his suspension. Pity for Felipe Massa. As Stoffel Vendôme, with 6 minutes to go in qualifying session 1, he goes P6. Nice lap stitched around by Stoffel Vendôme here. Now Max Verstappen comes out with his fast lap with just about 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying session 1. And Daniel Ricciardo is also on time lap with Esteban Ocon of Force India. All three are on their time laps with ultra soft tires. Let's see where Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo finishes in this qualifying session 1. And yes, Max Verstappen goes P1. Next up, Esteban Ocon comes around start finish straight. Where does he go? P8. Daniel Ricciardo P2. So both the Red Bulls topping the timesheets. P1 and P2 for Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. Both the Mercedes sits at 3rd and 4th position. Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel's 5th and 6th position. Both the Force India 7 and 8 and McLaren's 9th and 10th position. Looks to be safe to qualify for Q2. So we are just about 3 minutes to go for qualifying session 1, and Max Verstappen is topping the timesheets with drivers in relegation zone is Pascal Wehrlein from Sauber, Lance Stroll from Williams, Massa after damaging his rear suspension is in pit. He could not put the time lap. Roman Grosjean is also, he's just come out of the pit and he has to put some good lap around if he wants to come out of relegation zone. And Marcus Ericsson, another Sauber, still sitting in the pits with 3 minutes to go. Seems to be tough for these guys to come out of relegation zone and qualifying in Q2. In the meantime, as the Daniel Kvyat pits, the huge plume of smoke fire comes out of Daniel Kvyat's car. As Roman Grosjean goes around the corner, challenges himself to go deep into the corners and as fast as possible. Let's see this lap, is it good enough for him to come out of relegation zone here? He sits presently in 19th position. With Marcus Ericsson, he also comes around. Interesting to see where he finishes. And Roman Grosjean, once again he hits a wall. Not doing any good for Roman Grosjean. Seems to be he has spoiled his lap. However, he still manages to come out, and he is P10. Roman Grosjean P10. Kevin Magnussen now on the outlap. He would like to bring himself out of relegation zone. Ericsson, Magnussen, Pascal Wehrlein, Lance Stroll and Felipe Massa, who is not going to take further part, are in the relegation zone as of now. Fastest sector times: Sector 1, Kimi Raikkonen 27.468 seconds, Max Verstappen. Sector 2 fastest timing 39.182 seconds, and Sector 3 goes with Daniel Ricciardo 35.238 seconds. As we go to final 2 minutes of this qualifying session 1, with Kevin Magnussen is definitely half a second up on P15 timing. Driver in danger, Jolyon Palmer, who sits at 15th position. He is also on the outlap, so he will try to defend his position, where Kevin Magnussen goes through Sector 2. Pretty good lap in terms of Sector 1 timings he has done, Kevin Magnussen, for Haas. Lance Stroll is following him. He would like to come out of relegation zone and qualify for qualifying session 2. With Kevin Magnussen now 1 minute down, 1 second down on P1 timing, which looks to be okay to qualify for session 2. Let's see what he does in the final session. Sector 3. As he goes around in the final corners. And last corner comes to start finish straight, and he finishes P10. Kevin Magnussen P10 pushes down Palmer to 16th position. Carlos Sainz now sitting on the edge. Lance Stroll goes P15 now. Carlos Sainz down. Felipe Massa has got himself out on the track. We'll see whether he picks up the checkered flag or no. Yes, Felipe Massa is also on the track, and let's see what he can do. Carlos Sainz goes P3. Times are improving. Carlos Sainz in Toro Rosso goes P3. Felipe Massa now. Let's see whether he is able to come out of relegation zone. Yes, it does, with marginally. He's P50 now. Pascal Wehrlein is also trying to displace Felipe Massa. No, he doesn't. Jolyon Palmer is the next one. Will he be able to do it? He's the last man on the track. Interesting to see. Will he be able to displace Felipe Massa, who is just sitting on the edge? P15. Yes, he does. He goes P5. Felipe Massa out. Drivers out. Felipe Massa from Williams. Nico Hülkenberg. Renault. Surprise eviction of Renault. Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll in Williams out. Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson both out. With Fernando Alonso still on the track, trying to better his time. Last time around he has set. Where does he finish? Interesting, Nico Hülkenberg is still on the track. He picked up the checkered flag last time around. Fernando Alonso goes P3, and where does Nico Hülkenberg? He goes P9. So Nico Hülkenberg saves his position. What a topsy-turvy last 2 minutes of this qualifying session 1 happened to be. With only Kevin Magnussen, and he goes to the pit straight. So we have positions out with drivers going out. Kevin Magnussen, Felipe Massa, Lance Stroll, Pascal Wehrlein and Mark Ericsson goes out of P1. So finally the session 1, qualifying session 1 ends, and drivers who have been relegated and out of qualifying are Kevin Magnussen from Haas, Felipe Massa from Williams, Lance Stroll also from Williams not able to put a good show, Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson, both Sauber drivers, are out in qualifying 1. This was a great session, and as expected, Red Bull shown the strength and they were pretty fast, and they set the fastest timing here with Alonso going P3. So McLaren looking strong in this circuit. As remember, this is street circuit and difficult to overtake here, so key will be to climb as many ladders as possible in qualify as high as possible, because that is going to be advantageous for you in the race. As we get ready for session 2 to start, I am bringing this live to you. I'm your host Naresh from Autocars India, bringing you live podcast for this qualifying session for Singapore Grand Prix, round number 14 of 2017 Formula 1 Championship at Marina Bay Circuit, with Sebastian Vettel at second position in Driver Championship, Lewis Hamilton finally leading the Driver Championship first time around this year with 3 points leading here, and Ferrari and Red Bulls are tipped to win this race, but it will be key if Mercedes able to put a good lap around and he can qualify Lewis Hamilton or Bottas in top 3 positions or pole position. They'll be very strong. And it was good surprising result for Fernando Alonso, who qualified 3rd in qualifying session 1, with Carlos Sainz from Toro Rosso qualified 4th. As we go to qualifying session 2, which just gets the green lights on straight away. Most of the drivers not wasting time. Vettel first one to lead, Kimi Raikkonen first one to leave. Following him is Mercedes, with Sebastian Vettel also getting ready, coming out of the pits straight on the tracks. 15 minutes for this session 2. Remember, this circuit is very tricky. You should be able to come out on the track and set up your timing, get the fastest timing as soon as possible. You never know, some accident happens and you lose that opportunity, and you will be like sitting duck in the pits and you can't do anything. So Kimi Raikkonen, first one on the track, going with his warm-up lap, followed by Mercedes and Sebastian Vettel in another Ferrari. This session, as usual, Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen both have gone on ultra soft tires, as Max Verstappen gets ready, comes out of the pits, joins on the track. So no gambling with the super softs. Super softs are the best choice in this track and this session. Lewis Hamilton gets his tire temperatures to the optimum level, getting ready for a time lap here. As Alonso also goes out for an out lap. Just to remind you, the top 10 will have to start the race on the tires on which they set the fastest timings in qualifying session 2. So it is very important which tires you choose in qualifying session 2, because you will be using them at the start of the race tomorrow. As Lewis Hamilton starts his time lap, Kimi Raikkonen already started his ahead, clearing the sector 1, going pretty fast. Lewis Hamilton also cleanly cutting the corners, but his rear of the car doesn't seeming to be giving much of support to Lewis Hamilton as he touches 320 kilometers per hour. 8th gear. First sector, 27.8 seconds for Lewis Hamilton. Clean corners, no hassles, no challenges faced whatsoever by Lewis Hamilton as he completes the sector 2 here. And straight line reaches a speed of 280 km per hour as Kimi Raikkonen starts his sector 3, and he is also pretty fast. Let's see what time Kimi Raikkonen sets for the competitors. As he goes around the last few corners, he has some cars who are on their out laps, catches them nicely, and Kimi Raikkonen goes below 141. So he is 140.999 as Lewis Hamilton comes and he is only 141.075. So Kimi Raikkonen P1 as of now. Lewis Hamilton follows him second position with 700 of second difference between them. Bottas is P3. We are in 10 minutes of this session of 15 minutes allocated for qualifying session 2, as Daniel Kvyat also finishes the lap with 1.9 seconds down from the fastest time set by Vettel, and Max Verstappen is not so quick. He's 600 of seconds slow on P1 time of Sebastian Vettel, who is fastest time as P1. As Max Verstappen comes around last few corners on the track, cleanly kissing the barriers, no damage whatsoever, very aggressive driving, turns around, start finish straight. Where does he go? And he goes P1. Surprising. He's 1/10 faster than Sebastian Vettel. So Red Bulls definitely up for pole in this Marina Bay circuit. Very strong, with Daniel Ricciardo not so quick, and he is P3 only. Fernando Alonso is only P9, with Sergio Perez P10. Stoffel Van Doom, however, he is P6. So McLaren showing some very strong signs in this circuit. Hopefully they will be able to reach or get as high as possible position on this track. That will be great for the race in this circuit. With Valtteri Bottas only way down in 7th place, as we have 8 seconds to go in this qualifying session 2. Already momentum is very clear with Ferrari over Mercedes, which is a good sign for Sebastian Vettel, who is 3 points behind Lewis Hamilton in World Championship. Daniel Kvyat, as he gets ready to come out on the track, he is presently P13. Drivers in relegation zone: Fernando Alonso 11, 12 Sergio Perez from Force India, Esteban Ocon is in 14th position, 13th position Daniel Kvyat. Roman Grosjean is still sitting in the pits. As Roman Grosjean still sits in the pits, with relegation zone looming for Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, Daniel Kvyat, Esteban Ocon and Roman Grosjean. Max Verstappen topping the timesheets with 1 minute 40.379 seconds. As most of the drivers are in the pits now, in fact all of the drivers are in pit now and getting ready for the one more lap which they will get this time around. Roman Grosjean, he has not come out on the track for first of 2 laps, which generally drivers do in this qualifying session. We are in 5 minutes now. 5 minutes to go for qualifying session 2. Alonso and Jolyon Palmer, the gap is 0.135 seconds. Will Alonso be able to find that gap? We'll see as Fernando Alonso heads to the track, and we are in final 3.5 seconds of this qualifying session 2. Three minutes to go in qualifying session 2, and Ferrari is still sitting in garage for both the Ferrari drivers, Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel, looking for the right time to go out, and here they go. First one to go. We have Kimi Raikkonen, and Red Bull is also coming out now. Stoffel Vandoorne also gets ready. Gets a green signal from his mechanics and come out of the pit box. Fernando Alonso, 0.153 seconds he has to find between his time and Palmer to come out of the relegation zone, which with his caliber of driver he should be finding it pretty comfortable here. He stretches to the limit. And especially he should be charged up now after the announcement that Honda has parted ways. In fact, McLaren has parted ways, I should say, from Honda. And Fernando Alonso has all the reasons to stay with McLaren because that's the best bet he will get as McLaren goes with Renault in next season. As Fernando Alonso starts off his time lap. Very quick in corner 1, 2, gets the DRS, goes straight, rounds about, clears the turn 4, 5, pretty straight after that. Turn number 6, sweeping right-hander, goes to turn number 7, 90 degrees left-hander. Then quickly gets to turn number 8, very tricky turn where Michael Schumacher had the accident few years back. Goes around, approaches turn number 10, very quick in sector 2, 258 kilometers per hour. As he goes around turn 11, 12. And then comes the sharp U-turn almost, turn number 13. Go straight once again, full on the throttle, 258 km per hour, 278, and hard on braking. Turn number 15 and 16, short turns, goes as close as possible on the barriers. 90-degree turn in 16, 17, 18 and 19. Topsy-turvy 90-degree turns here as he comes in sector 3, starts off his sector 3. And gets his DRS detection. Comes on the start-finish straight. Where does he finish? He goes P8, which is pretty good time for Fernando Alonso, but surely it's going to be getting challenged very soon by Jolyon Palmer of Renault. Esteban Ocon, this time around, he tries. Where does he finish? No good timing for him. He could not finish. He could not better his time last time around. Carlos Sainz also doesn't improve. Nico Hülkenberg. Let's see, what does he do? Comes down, start finish straight, and he's P7, which was expected. Fernando Alonso is pushed down to P9. He cannot feel safe in this position, Fernando Alonso. He has to find some time now. As Sergio Perez this time around, no, he also doesn't better his time. With Jolyon Palmer coming now, let's see what does he do. He is the threat to Fernando Alonso as both of them are clocking similar timings. As he comes around, start finish straight. Where does he ends up? Will he be able to displace Fernando Alonso? Yes. No, he is not able to do it. Fernando Alonso still in the 9th position with Max Verstappen coming now. He betters the time. He remains P1. He betters the time. He comes to 1 minute 40.332 seconds. Alonso still sitting in 9th position. Sebastian Vettel now. Let's see whether he is able to better his time as he comes around, start finish straight, and he goes. He doesn't improve the time. In fact, he slowed down. So Verstappen and Ricciardo still sitting at P1 and 2 positions, with both the Ferraris 3 and 4. Hamilton in 5th. Stoffel Vandoorne done a tremendous job to bring his car in 6th position. This time around, Daniel Kvyat. Let's see what does he do. No, he also doesn't do it. So finally, both the Force India, to a surprise, are out in Q2. What a session this for McLaren, as both the McLarens have safely qualified for Q1. As qualifying session 2 completes, and both the McLarens are in qualifying session 1. They are both qualified. To give you update, qualifying session 2, how it went. Julian Palmer, Sergio Perez, Julian Palmer from Renault, Sergio Perez from Force India, Daniel Kvyat, Toro Rosso, Esteban Ocon, Force India, and Roman Grosjean from Haas could not qualify for session 1. Drivers successfully going to compete for the pole position are Max Verstappen, topping the timesheet with 1 minute 40.332 seconds, followed by his teammate from Red Bull, Daniel Ricciardo. Both the Ferraris following with Kimi Raikkonen and Vettel not much far behind. Lewis Hamilton at 5th position. Stoffel Van Dorn, what a lap he has done in the last session. He is P6 for McLaren. Nico Hülkenberg for Renault, 7th. Valtteri Bottas are the Mercedes at 8th position. Fernando Alonso 9th, and Carlos Sainz at 10th position will fight for pole position. Max Verstappen, highest position in Singapore, being 2nd in this Marina Bay Street circuit. As drivers take a break, we are all set for pole position shootout in just about a while now. This was a great session for both the McLarens, with especially Stoffel Van Dorn, who has showed himself very strong this time around. And Max Verstappen, who has topped Q1 and Q2, he's been able to be on the front row once before also at Belgium in 2016, but he has never taken a pole. So this will be interesting today if Max Verstappen pulls a pole here. And also, if he does that, he'll be the youngest man in Formula 1 history if he can make the breakthrough. Will the history wait for another 10 minutes? Time to see, as qualifying session 2 starts off with both the McLarens and the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz comes out on the track, wasting no time at all. Previous pole positions, last time Rosberg was the pole sitter. Before that, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel thrice in fact. Lewis Hamilton has done thrice. Fernando Alonso once and Felipe Massa once have got the pole positions in Singapore. As Ferraris getting ready to go out, also the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton comes out on the track. So all eyes are on the Red Bulls. Will they be able to snatch the pole from the Ferraris? Mercedes doesn't look to be strong, but we always know the knack of getting the pole for Lewis Hamilton, and he keeps something in his pocket to deliver in the dying seconds always. And today is the time he will be itching to do to solidify his lead, what he has got in Formula 1 World Championship this year. As Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo also for the outlap out on the track. We are just about 10 minutes to go. Fight for the pole is very much underway. With just below 10 minutes to go, drivers are on their out lap with almost everybody out on the track to fight for the pole position. And no different, McLaren seems to be strong and they would like to start as high as possible on this track, which will ensure his point scoring positions. We do not expect them to do wonders, but you never know. Singapore, we all know what happened in 2010. So Kimi Raikkonen is leading the pack as he gets ready to start his time lap. So first one to go is car number 7, Kimi Raikkonen, as he starts off the lap very strong, very close to the barriers in sector 1. Lewis Hamilton behind him. It will be interesting to see the difference of lap timings for both the drivers. Kimi Raikkonen leading the pack with Hamilton behind him, Verstappen, Vettel, Ricciardo following him. As he goes to the sector 2, very strong, nicely cutting the corners, close to the barriers, as close as possible to his comfort. As sector 2 gets over, and he's already 1.3 seconds up on sector 2 timings. Let's see what Lewis Hamilton has to offer in this. As Lewis Hamilton completes, and Lewis Hamilton is pretty much in the race. He's 1.189 seconds up on the timing set by P1 as of now, provisionally for Fernando Alonso as Max Verstappen, and he is also closer for this position. All three drivers. Kimi Raikkonen, here we go. So he's 1.8 seconds faster than P1. He's P1 presently. Lewis Hamilton comes around the start finish straight. Where does he finish? No, he is P2. 1/10 of the second slower. Max Verstappen coming behind him. Where does he finish? He is a very strong contender for this. Start finish straight. He comes around, and where does he finish? Yes, he is comfortably P1 as of now with 2/10 of a second faster with Sebastian Vettel behind him, and Sebastian Vettel is P1. Can you believe it? Sebastian Vettel has pulled it. With Daniel Ricciardo is down to P3, Sebastian Vettel is clear 1/10 of the second faster this time around. Both the Mercedes are only finding themselves in 5th and 6th position. It was a stunning lap from Max Verstappen. However, it was stunning, double stunning I would say from Sebastian Vettel, who overtook Max Verstappen, and he is provisionally P1 here. Lewis Hamilton only finding 5th position as of now. They will get another chance. One more lap to go. As Sebastian Vettel pulls a stunning lap last time around, and he is presently P1 as all the drivers are back in the garages with Sebastian Vettel first one, P1 for Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen P2, Daniel Ricciardo P3, Kimi Räikkönen sits at 4th position with both the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas at 5th and 6th position. Then followed by McLarens of Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Vandoorne at 7th and 8th position, Nico Hülkenberg in Renault at 9th position, Carlos Sainz 10th position. We expect one more electrifying lap here in Marina Bay Circuit when drivers come out for their final one lap for this perfect setting up of Grand Prix weekend. As we are just about 2.5 seconds in this pole battle, which is going on in Marina Bay Circuit at Singapore, qualifying of round 14 of Formula One World Championship here. With Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz already out on the track with their outlaps. Both the McLarens still sitting in the pits, leaving it for the last second to come out and have a go one more time, where they know they don't tip to be overtaking Mercedes, who are sitting at 5th and 6th positions. So Sebastian Vettel seems to be all set to have a battle with Max Verstappen this time around, and this will be lap of nerves for both Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. And who knows, Lewis Hamilton, this is the time he has to pull out those few tenths of the seconds to bring his car on the pole lap, and it will be stunning if he can do that. Let's see how far that goes as the drivers are getting their tire temperatures up and getting ready for the time lap. Last chance to bring their cars on the pole position here. Remember, this circuit is a circuit where overtaking is almost near to impossible and chances of safety cars are very high. So overtaking is negligible on this track. So everybody would like to go as up as possible on the positions. As Max Verstappen, first one to go, starts his time lap very cleanly, going around the corners in sector 1, closest to the barrier, as close as possible and as comfortable for him as possible to the barriers. Gets his DRS as he completes the sector 1, and he's already 1/10 of a second down on Sebastian Vettel time. He has to find some time in sector 2. Max Verstappen Let's see what he does. Goes very close to the barriers in sector 2. Remember, one touch on the barrier and you lose your all the hard work done in the session. So Max Verstappen coming closer to the end of sector 2. Let's see how does it time fits in sector 2, as checkered flag is already out. And where does he fits in? No, he's already 4/10 down on Vettel. So Vettel is tipping to be clinching the pole position in this Marina Bay circuit. Let's see what Kimi Raikkonen has to offer. Max Verstappen is out already. He cannot challenge Kimi Raikkonen. Will he be able to challenge? No, he is also 4/10 seconds down on Sebastian Vettel time. Lewis Hamilton, let's see what does he do. And Lewis Hamilton, his timings will be interesting to see in sector 2 once he completes sector 2. And where does he fit in? No, he also is 4/10 down. So it's all about Sebastian Vettel now. Can he do it? He's even faster. He 1/10 of the second faster on his own timing. Daniel Ricciardo 3/10 down. Valtteri Bottas is the last one who can give a challenge to Sebastian Vettel. Valtteri Bottas, no, he's down. So pole position is done for Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel wins the pole. Sebastian Vettel, pole sitter, bingo for him. Congratulations, Sebastian Vettel. It's a hard-earned pole position for Sebastian Vettel. And what a time to get this pole position. As the qualifying session comes to an end and Sebastian Vettel wins the pole position in this circuit, 4th time around, record 4 time for Sebastian Vettel, 49th career pole position for Sebastian Vettel. What a tremendous qualifying session this has been for Sebastian Vettel. He was silently remaining behind both the Red Bulls in both the qualifying session 1 and 2, and most importantly when the time mattered the most, he clinched the pole. He brought his fastest time, and the first time around he had fastest time, but the second time around he beaten his own timing. Nobody was able to even come closer to him. So very interesting. Sebastian Vettel on the pole. Max Verstappen starts side by side of Sebastian Vettel with Daniel Ricciardo, 3rd step of the starting position, 2nd row. Kimi Raikkonen starts 4th. Lewis Hamilton starts only 5th, with Valtteri Bottas starts 6th position. Nico Hülkenberg from Renault, who managed to overcome Fernando Alonso time, starts 7th. McLaren's of Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Vandoorne starts 8th and 9th position, with Carlos Sainz starts at 10th position tomorrow, the Grand Prix weekend. Drivers who are out in session 2, Jolyon Palmer from Renault 11th, he will start 11th. Sergio Perez starts 12th. Daniel Kvyat will start 13th. 14th for Esteban Ocon. Roman Grosjean starts 15th. Drivers who will start at 16th position, Kevin Magnussen from Haas. 17th, Felipe Massa. Lance Stroll, other Williams, starts 18th. Pascal Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson in Sauber starts 19th and 20th position. What a session we had for this qualifying of this Singapore Grand Prix weekend on the qualifying. With this, I would like to say goodbye to all my friends in Asia and Europe to stay tuned and watch this Grand Prix qualifying session, which the pole setter is Sebastian Vettel, and what a pole he has clinched this time around, with Max Verstappen starts side by side tomorrow and Daniel Ricciardo starts third tomorrow at Marina Bay for round number 14 of 2017 Formula 1 World Championship. With this, I would like to sign off and say goodbye to all of you. Look forward to see you once again tomorrow. Have safe driving. Signing off, your host Naresh from Autocars India. Bye bye. Take care. Ciao.